Worcester, Massachusetts, to be greeted by this vast crowd, a capacity crowd of nearly 14,000 people. The temperature outside, 15 degrees Fahrenheit, 17 degrees of frost and dropping. Inside, it's hot, humid, and very tense. And Sibson reaches the ring. The 24-year-old challenger from Leicester, the #1 contender for the World Middleweight Championship, and greeted by several hundred British fans who've made the journey. Sibson, 5 feet 8 inches tall. He'll be 1.5 inches shorter than Hagler, and his reach will be considerably shorter. 6.5 inches difference between them. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the champion, 75-inch reach, and Sibson, 68.5. He works out in the corner with Ken Squires, his trainer. Unusual to see that seconds before a big fight. And the reports from Sibson's dressing room told consistently tonight that he was relaxed, cheerful, and confident. He's been here in Massachusetts for 2 weeks. He's done no sparring here, did it all back in England. But he's made himself popular with the citizens of Worcester, Massachusetts. And he's got some following here tonight, both from his army, a small army, but there are British fans here tonight, but also he's won a few hearts over in America. But he is, of course, a real underdog. 4-1 against are the odds that say Tony Sibson will not beat Marvin Hagler. And he's having quite a considerable wait for the champion to arrive. And this could well be a psychological move on the part of the Hagler camp to make him wait, to make him sweat. And now the champion, at long last, comes to the ring, the hooded figure of marvelous Marvin Hagler. That is his real name now, by deed poll. And he comes out to a vast barrage of applause that hits him as he comes into the central arena. Hagler, until a few months ago, reckoned to be 30 years old when he changed his name to Marvelous. They discovered on his birth certificate that he was really 28. His 60th professional fight tonight. He's been beaten only twice, the last time 7 years ago. And when he gets that hood off, you'll see Hagler bald as an egg. Tonight, Hagler makes his 6th defense of the title he won from Alan Minter at the Wembley Arena in September 1980, when the fight was stopped in the 3rd round because of cuts around Minter's eyes. And Sibson looks one of the least concerned men in the whole place. The ominous record of Hagler, unbeaten for 7 years, and every defense of his title so far has finished inside the distance, including a recent 67-second win over William Caveman Lee. The referee tonight, a well-known man in world championships, Carlos Padilla from the Philippines, who lives now in Las Vegas. He, in fact, refereed the fight when Alan Minter won the world title against Vito Antuofermo in Las Vegas. And 2 judges who also score, of course. Tony Perez from Puerto Rico, a resident of New York, and Marcello Bertini of Italy.
No. After I'll get it. Okay, you're going to box for 15 rounds. You know the rules of boxing. Avoid using any kinds of power. Don't throw any punches during the break. Okay, seconds come out fighting. Seconds come out fighting. Where's the belt? The belt.
And so the moment has arrived. Marvin Hagler, the champion. The challenger from England, Tony Sibson.
Okay, everybody down. Everybody. Okay.
Hagler receiving $1.5 million and Sibson just over $500,000. 15 rounds. Hagler, the southpaw. First to attack and the first to score to the head of Sibson. Sibson's walking on to punches in the opening second. He has to get in close. He's outreached by over 6 inches. A red mark already at the side of Sibson's left eye, and he takes 2, 3 more punches, and he gets inside where he's safe, and that's where he needs to be, because the danger signals were flying there already. Sibson's getting caught too much, too early. With this difference in reach, Sibson's tactics have got to be to try to move inside. He's got to come inside, where he can keep away from Hagler's punches and make his own tell. Sibson's trying to get his left hook, the big punch, to work. Hagler giving Sibson no chance to come in close, dictating the tactics. And Hagler finding Sibson easy to hit. Sibson's going to need all his strength and courage to come through these opening moments. Hagler smiles. And that first round was not a good one for Sibson. He never got close in where he has to be. And constantly he was caught by the long arms of Hagler. 75-inch reach, although he's not a tall man. And there were some real danger signals fluttering there in those early moments for Tony Sibson. And he really has to change his tactics. And again, this champion found Sibson's head easy to find. Although Sibson was doing his best to dodge them, but he got caught a lot. Again, the southpaw's right lead snakes out and bites into the head of the British challenger. Padilla allowing very little close quarter work. And Hagler now moving up a gear and looking very dangerous. And so far, Sibson has not landed the left hook. Being beaten to the punch. That was a nice little rally there by Sibson. Took the punches and then came straight back. Jabbing fast, Sibson. If he could get his jab going and then hook off the jab, it could be different. And he forces Hagler to back up. Sibson fighting better now. Sibson beginning to bob and weave quite successfully. It's a much better second round than the first. But Hagler, controlled menace, waits for the chance, sees the openings. An altogether better second round for Sibson. And showing a few signs in this second round of the way to handle Hagler. He can just keep the left jab coming. Well, Alan, he had a very rough first round, Tony, but he did a bit better there.
A rough first round, Harry. Now, this second round, he's boxing exactly right, Tony. What he's doing, instead of backing off and letting Hagler get a long reach on him and pick him off with fast jabs, Tony's now pressuring and pushing Hagler back, making the fight, so Hagler can't get his long jabs off. And I think that is the answer, to come in close to Hagler, bob and weave under his lead, and throw his own left hook. But that round was sensational for Tony. He got caught with a few long shots, but still come back with his own left hooks and right crosses. But I think that was a much, much better round than before.
You got to pivot in then. You got to pivot in.
The challenger stalking the champion. Hagler will quite like that. He likes men to come to him. It's quite noticeable that Hagler does not intend to let Sibson get anywhere near close. Hagler using all the ring. Neat. Very stinging little punch, left hand from Sibson. Hagler will have felt that. And a lot of American comment has been about the power of Sibson's punch and the unusual circumstances that a British fighter comes to America and actually has the punching power on the American champion. That's unusual. Sibson will be gaining in confidence. This is the third round in which Hagler won the world title from my colleague at the ringside. Fateful round for Alan Minter. Padilla, the referee, having no holding. Quite a bit of it going on both sides. And Hagler's not looking nearly as menacing as he was in that opening round. He's doing much more retreating now. And Sibson putting the champion under pressure. And Hagler saying something to him. This has all the makings of a bruising battle. Sibson taking Hagler's punches well, but taking them, having to take them. It's quite noticeable there, Alan, that once or twice Tony was quite willing to trade punches. Do you think that's the right... He's got the bigger punch, so I suppose it's the right thing.
I think when Sibson was backing off and he was getting stung with long jabs, he's now forcing the fight, and Hagler's hitting with some great shots, but Sibson's still coming back, and it's worrying Hagler. And I can see if Tony keeps bustling forward, bobbing and weaving, tries to make Hagler miss, and comes up with fast, strong punches, as we know he can hit, I think he worry Hagler to death.
Both men smeared with grease, the faces. The shaven-headed Hagler, a man of ominous appearance and ominous feats, unbeaten in his last 30 fights in the last 7 years. Been a pro just under 10 years. Former amateur champion. And Sibson goes for him. And Hagler has nowhere to go but backwards. Sibson trying to get close and using the left hook. Getting through with the jab. Not really used the big left hook yet. Sibson's left jab is very fast. He's moving those hands like a blur. Hagler frowning. Sibson moving around this ring very confidently. Quite prepared to take a few punches to get inside. And Hagler still using his feet well. If this fight goes the distance, it'll be interesting to see whether Hagler can keep his feet moving as fast as this. He's 4 years older, at least. Not everybody believes the story that Hagler is only 28. So that's another interesting round. 4 completed, and Sibson by no means the underdog now.
Here's the bucket. Give me a...
It's on this side. Carlos, pull his protector down. It's up to his chest.
The Sibson camp are complaining about the protector round Hagler, and that it's too high. And you can see for yourself in these shots just how high it is. And in fact, the referee is pulling the protector down. That was a point made by the Sibson camp at the rules meeting last night. They said that Hagler has a way of pulling the protector up to protect parts of the body that shouldn't be protected. And certainly that protector was up high there, and it's working its way up again now. The protector should not be above the navel. The left hook going in now from Sibson. This is proving to be a good, hard fight. Well, they won't be able to serve Tony Sibson that he's one of Britain's horizontal champions. Been a few that have come over in the last 50 or 60 years who've folded up a little quickly under American pressure, but Sibson isn't one of them. Hagler picking Sibson off too easily again.
Okay, bring it up, bring it up. No holding, no holding. Bring it up, bring it up.
Sibson really has to beat him to the punch and keep him moving back. And that little left jab, followed by the hook, is the way to do it. Hagler trying to put the pressure on himself now, and doing it, and gets through with those good southpaw right leads. And the Massachusetts supporters of Hagler begin to get very excited. And Sibson's got some blood coming down his face, near his left eye. So Hagler has struck in this round, and that was the reason for that flurry of activity from Sibson. He felt the blood coming, and he had to do something. It's not bad. There's some sort of small cut near Sibson's left eye. And Hagler's just the sort of man to make that work. The bell wasn't heard. Hagler looked, he looked daggers at Sibson as Sibson went for him after the bell. And the British corner go to work on the injury. We may see how it was caused here. That may well have been the punch that opened the cut. Those long, scything right leads from the southpaw champion. And the upshot is that Sibson's in the corner being treated for a cut. Marvellous shot from the overhead camera. Gives you an idea of the reach of Hagler. So the reach has told, the fact he can stand off and stab and cut his man has suddenly proved to be a significant factor in this championship.
Give me his gun, Shield.
And Hagler was really worked up at the end of that previous round when Sibson presumably didn't hear the bell and struck him a couple of times after the bell. And Hagler, he really did give him a glare. That fifth round has brought a lot of confidence back into the champion. And that right lead from Hagler is now proving to be a very dominant weapon. And Sibson bleeds again. Sibson really does have to move in, stay close if he can, duck and weave underneath the right lead, because if he walks onto that right lead much more, that cut may well be too much for the corner to handle. Well, Sibson's winning friends here for the courage he's showing here in standing toe-to-toe with Hagler. But he's caught the first knockdown, and Sibson's cut and hurt the sixth. And that cut's looking much, much worse, and the end may well be very close. Now then, can Sibson get through this round and get back to repairs? He's trying to fight, but he's being outfought. Tremendous efforts by Sibson, but he's coming off first and he's over again. And this might be the end. His legs seem to have gone. He's put it all in and it hasn't worked. And it stops and it's over. And Hagler has retained the middleweight championship of the world. A brave try by Sibson, but you only have to look at him to see what happens. So Hagler makes his sixth successful defense of the title, and the British effort to regain it has gone by the board in a most dramatic fashion. There were moments when it looked as if Sibson might do well in this fight, but in the end, the long reach of Hagler and the man's sheer ability and cutting punching has taken its toll. And it's a delighted Marvin Hagler who holds the belt aloft. It's still mine. Well, that was the way it ended. And there's despair, sadness, disappointment, all those things in the corner of Sibson. He came a long way to try to win that belt, but none of it was any use. He had a bad first round, and then 3 rounds in which he looked as though he might be able to come to grips with Hagler and solve the problems that this good champion set. But it didn't work. And really, the whole story of this fight was in that long southpaw right of Hagler's. That was the one that did the damage on the eye, and that was the one that brought Sibson to his knees. And again, from these overhead camera shots, you get some idea of the long arms of this man, and there was nothing Sibson could do about it. Crouched there, having to take the punches to the side of the head. And the referee didn't take long to decide that the British challenger had had enough. So the menacing, marvelous Marvin Hagler does it again. And another British effort in America comes to nothing.
Okay, thank you.
His 56th win in 60 professional fights, remains unbeaten now for more than 7 years. But Sibson will return to Leicester with the knowledge that he did his best, and he showed courage and he tried to fight back. Well, Hagler's the winner, applauded by his fans. It's M for marvellous, M for Marvin, and if you ask me, it's M for murder with that man.
I was trying not to lose my cool in there. I realized he said he was stronger than me. He wasn't stronger than me. He started pulling apart. First 2 rounds, you know, he was aggressive and very strong. And I thank God for the way I train. I train very hard, and that's what paid off for me. My trainers and my managers done an excellent job on putting the sight right to how we fight this guy, and we did it the right way.
Tony Sibson, not a bad fighter.
Not a bad fighter, but you got any more over there in Britain?
I don't think we got any good enough for you. Would you come if we had? Would you come?
No. You got to pay me a lot of money. You got to talk to this guy.
Yeah, if we get enough money, we'll go anywhere.
Okay, Marvin.
Thank you very much.
Great fight. Thank you.
I wasn't kidding anybody in this world, and I certainly don't kid myself, and I believed in my own heart I could beat him, you know. I really did. But I know I'm a slow starter, but I just couldn't get started. I was like that for 2 rounds out against Salaminto, and I thought, you'll be all right, you'll come to yourself in a minute. And I did start finding my way in. But even so, it just never went as planned. Because he wasn't hurting me, but they were so correct. They were so correct. Accurate, you know what I mean? It wasn't like buzzing me, making me buzz, but they were so correct, it was knocking me back, you know what I mean? Not like glancing off me, they, you know, called me a couple of times flushing, yeah. I don't, mate, listen, people are going to criticise me for not sparring for this fight as much as I should have done. But I just want to say that I was in very good nick and I was very fit. His hands were very long and very fast, and I thought I might find a way in, but I didn't. They were like a maze. I'm feeling happy. I'm not crying or anything. I got well licked by a master in the ring. You know, I fought top fighters, and you know, I've broke down their defence, not by getting caught like I got caught tonight, by good tactical boxing and boxing ability, what got me to #1 in the world, and beating great champions. But tonight, I just couldn't find a way through to Marvin Hagler. I started off slow, which I always do, and I just couldn't find my way in.
The man's reach, it's long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very deceiving, because I said to him at the weigh-in, you're not so big as I thought you were. But I wasn't looking at his arms.
You've got 2 nasty-looking cuts, sir. I didn't realise he cut you as badly as that.
Yeah. I tell you, listen, the man was very accurate. His punching was accurate to perfection. And, you know, it was a southpaw, it's awkward. I've always done well against southpaws. But I can honestly say I couldn't do nothing about it, you know what I mean? And that's just it.
You don't look like a terribly disappointed man.
No, I'm not. No, because I'm not kidding myself in life. I've just fought for the world title. I'm very sorry for my family and my friends who have made the efforts and believed in me all the way, because certainly I wasn't kidding anybody when I thought I could beat Marvin Hagler. But I just wasn't. My punching, when I was connecting with it, I never felt the buzz. It wasn't boom, crisp and destructive. There was just finding the way through, and it just wasn't happening for me.
Is that because you weren't at your best, or because he's too good?
No, I tell you, listen, I'm the fittest I've ever been in my life. I'm in great nick. I've been 11-6. I've been 11-4, 11-6 for 3 weeks. Been eating like an animal. I've been training like an animal. And all I can say is I was well beat by an artist in the ring. And it looks like I've got to go back to the drawing board, because nobody in my boxing career from a 10-year-old boy has ever done that to me. So the man must be something.
Well, good to see him in good spirits still there. Now, watching that fight along with us has been Henry Cooper alongside me. Yep. Henry, we knew that Hagler was good, but he looked superb in that, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, it was funny. I think the Minter fight, I'd seen him on film a few times, and then I was at ringside with you when we done the Minter fight. And when I see that guy, he's got fast hands. He punches, he puts 4 or 5 punches together, but very fast. And any fighter that's got fast hands like that has got to be a good fighter. Yeah.
Was there any tactic, in your view, that Sibson could have used that he didn't use?
Well, not really. So, I mean, if you're being outgunned by reach, what I think he could have done perhaps is kept perhaps a more bobbing and weaving target. He was a bit stationary up there, wasn't he? And the guy could reach him. He should have been moving, making it a bit more awkward for him to get those long them long right jabs, which were the damaging punches, them long straight rights over Sibson's left lead, which, you know, swelled the eye and then split it eventually. Yeah.
And of course, as Sibson said himself, he's a slow starter.
Yeah, well,
and he paid for that rather, didn't he? Because
he
Hagler
did,
had
really,
a splendid first round, and we can see just what he did in the opening round here. He was really under pressure, Sibson, from the start.
Well, he was, because I think, really, realistically, I mean, Sibson really he should have had a fast start if he could have, because that's what he was hoping to do, I suppose, was to dominate the fight from the first round. And I thought, really, that was his only chance if he was getting on top of Hagler in them first 2 rounds while he was fresh and laying the big punches. But as we can see by this, it was the other way around. It was Hagler landing the big punches, and he must have, that must have given him a big psychological boost, you know,
Because it certainly wouldn't have done much for Sibson's confidence that opening round.
Well, in a world title fight, you know, you hope as a challenger, perhaps, you know, you can nick, you know, some of the early rounds and perhaps give the man 1 or 2 worries. But no, I think this first round was an excellent round. Though, you know, Sibson's a gutsy fighter. He's taking the fight to him all the time. He's going forward. So you've got to give him credit there, Sibson.
Yeah. Sibson himself said that he would get criticised for not sparring in the States. He was out there 2 weeks before the fight. What's your thought on that? I mean, it's a most unusual way to prepare for a world
It is very
championship bout.
unusual. I don't think I know any fighter that has left off sparring a fortnight before a big fight. I mean, most fighters have, say, perhaps the last 4 or 5 days. I never used to. I only used to have, say, you know, 2 or 3 days off. I know some guys like, say, 4 or 5 days off, but a whole 2 weeks. But, I mean, as long as that is Sibson's usual preparation, I wonder if he does that on every fight.
I think he does.
Yeah, oh, well, I mean, if that's his usual preparation, well, I mean, that's it. That's his style. See, what's good for me is not good for someone else, and what's good for Sibson is not good for someone else.
I wonder how good it is for your reactions, though.
Well, I mean, he seems to be content with doing a lot of his speed work. He has this suspended ball on the rubbers, which I never ever trained on them at all. I always done the speed ball in the heavy bag, but he seems to get his speed work with that one, his reflexes and his hand coordination with that, which is pretty good. Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, he got cut. Now, he's had a long career as a professional, Sibson, despite being only 24. But he's never got cut before, again, despite being a little bit fleshy. But he got cut in that 5th round. I think it was the right hand, as Harry said at the time.
Yeah, look, them 2 punches there, and another one there, which must have opened it up straight away. So it was unfortunate there, because Sibson had had his best. I made him have his best round in the 4th round. But this round, I think, where he gets cut, well, that there again gave Hagler a big boost in this fight, because from then on he stepped the pressure up. He had a target to aim for, and he must have been feeling good then, Hagler, because he says, right, this guy's got a cut eye now, which he's got to try to protect, and he's going to be doing things a little bit hurriedly, because Sibson didn't know how bad the cut was. He could feel perhaps the blood, you know, coming on his body, and you think, well, you've got to step the pressure up, but unfortunately, doing that, you leave yourself open to catching blows. You know, and Hagler then must have thought, right, he's got to go, what, you know, if it goes a long way, it's got to be in his favour.
Will he be more prone to cuts in the future because of those scars now by both eyes?
Well, that one on the left eye looks a bit nasty, see, because that's right in the brow and lid there, and that's the longest one. I think he had 16 stitches in both cuts, but I think he must have had majority in that one, and that's going to have a lot of scar tissue there, and that's going to be weaker now. That's going to, you know, that scar tissue opens up more than the normal skin.
He's only 24, Sibson. What now for him, would you reckon?
Well,
would you advise, perhaps, Henry?
This is tough, really, because, you know, I mean, it's very well for me to say, but I thought this fight was perhaps a year too early. You know, I thought perhaps we all thought Hagler was 30. Let him get a year old. Let him have another 2-3 hard fights.
He's apparently only 28.
Yeah, now he's only 28. So now what can
he's getting younger.
You know, and Sibbo's what, 300,000 quid. I think you've got to you know, have a lot of motivation. What's going to motivate him now for the next fight? I think he's got to have now, with that cut, he'll have 6 months off, I think. You know, the kid will want a good rest, and then he might get the old instinct he'll want to fight again, and that's where he gets his motivation.
I suppose it is backwards now, certainly for a time being, isn't it? Europe and domestic issue.
Well, that's it. He's got a domestic title. See, now he can get his motivation in winning, perhaps. Is he British title holder now, or is he older? No, he has to give them...
That's Roy Gums.
Yeah, that's it. Well, he can go for that, perhaps, and then that's what's going to give him his motivation. If he can get 3 or 4 good fights on his belt, winning fights, and then perhaps challenge him in a year's time.
And just a final word about Hagler. No one's going to beat him too readily, are they?
No, I thought he was 30, as we say. I thought, you know, if he 31, 32, he may be coming. But if he's only 28, he's got another 2 good years of fighting left in him. So I think Sibbo's going to be waiting around for 2 years if he's thinking of getting the world title. Yeah.
Okay, Henry, thanks very much for coming in.